you go. Unexpected, victorious Tornado Energy.
2016 Wargaming League World Champions.
Hello and welcome to day number 3 of the WGL APAC Season 2. It's our last match day of week number 1, but we do have some very big matches coming up tonight, so definitely not one to be missed, Alex.
Oh, that's
Got,
right.
some pretty important ones, I think, coming out tonight.
Big ones, big matches tonight, of course. So we're starting off with a little kind of warmer for everyone with TCZ. They're going to be playing up against the guys from Taiwan, Horsemen. And after that, we've got EL Gaming coming up. Meltdown are playing today. We've got B Gaming going up against Karen Tiger in the Battle Royale as well as our last match of today. So some really top tier matches. Looking forward to them.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we've seen some surprising results coming out over the first 2 days of our competition so far in WGL APAC. So hopefully today we're going to see some interesting results as well.
Yeah, and just to talk about those interesting results a little bit, the most surprising one for me so far has been B Gaming, because this is one of their big weeks. They are playing 3 times each match day this week. And so far, out of the 2 games they've played, they've been knocked down in 2.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And that's a little bit surprising considering we thought coming into this they were going to be one of the strongest teams in the competition.
Exactly.
They have to hope here at least that they're going to be able to get a win over the Karen Tiger, but from memory, I believe they're going to have a bit of difficulty there because I think it went 5-4, 5-4 to Karen Tiger both times that they played each other. But digressing a little bit, let's go ahead and have a look and see what's coming up later for us today. Obviously, you've already mentioned Coalition Zoo versus Horsemen is going to be our first game of the day. And the keener eyes among you may have noticed that there is a bit of a gap in the middle there. That is because Team Efficiency have rescheduled one of their matches. That means we're going to have a bit of a break during the broadcast. So after our first match, we're going to be on to about an hour or an hour and a half of a countdown timer. Yeah, go away, have a bit of dinner, something like that. But we'll be back, of course, later in the evening at 1700 GMT +8 with Meltdown versus EL Gaming. And then after that, our final game of the night, B Gaming versus Karen Tiger.
Looking forward to that one. Should be a cracker to see if B Gaming can come back from their rocky start this week to try and pull through with a win. Meltdown and EL Gaming as well. That one should be a good one. Meltdown have been playing very well so far. They're up the top of the ladder as well after their first 2 days this week after a couple of wins. So EL Gaming, well, they started off a little bit shaky yesterday.
Yeah, they definitely did. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how that ladder is going to be ending up at the end of today's matches, because obviously then the majority of the teams will have played some matches. We're going to get a bit of a better indication as to how things might start to play out throughout Season 2.
Yeah, that is right. So, well, let's take a look at our first team for today, the Coalition Zoo, who, of course, have had quite a few kind of minor changes to their roster. They have brought in Nomad, but we didn't get a chance to see him play in the Coalition Zoo's lineup yesterday. Of course, Nomad being that heavy tanker that used to be in Team Efficiency in the latter half of last season. Very strong. Of course, they've also added Lion. Lion didn't do too badly yesterday. He made some big plays, actually, so I like that addition. Coming up from the Silver Series is Lion, and apart from that, pretty much their standard roster.
Yeah, I think the Coalition Zoo are one of the teams that have had overall the least changes from Season 1 to Season 2. And, well, I guess that might put them in a bit of a better place than some of the other teams, but who knows? We'll have to see how that develops throughout this season. Having a look across at their opponents, the Horsemen, those guys have had a few changes. Obviously, we've seen Faluso fall back. We've already spoke about this a couple of times, but he's obviously one of their stronger players, but he's been put back into the sub position because of some real-life commitments. Nandesu has stepped up into the position of captain there for the Horsemen.
Yep, there we go. So the Horsemen, of course, also adding Sphinx into their roster, who we did get a chance to see play a little bit. Sphinx, of course, used to be flagged from EL Gaming last season, and no doubt he brings a really high level of technical skill and general tanking proficiency to the Horsemen. So Definitely looking forward to seeing him play a little bit
The
more.
Horsemen did have a pretty good start to this season. They've already picked up their first win over Karen Tiger. And, well, maybe I lie about a good start because they were down 0-3 initially, but
It's a struggle.
they were able to pull things back to a 5-3 victory, which they looked very convincing in, obviously, after those first 3 rounds. So I'm hoping to see how they go here against the Coalition Zoo. I think they should have a reasonably good time. I'm going to predict Horsemen 5-3 over TCZ.
5-3. Okay, well, I actually think it's going to be a little bit more one-sided than that. I really like Horsemen's little tweaks that they've made to their roster. I love the addition of Sphinx. So because of that, I'm going to be calling it Horsemen 5-1 to win.
Yeah, that's, I mean, look, it could be very much on the cards here. Yesterday, we did see Coalition Zoo, though, come out against the Meltdown guys with a very strong performance early on in the piece. It even looked like they might be in with a chance to be able to steal the win away from Meltdown there, but in the end, Meltdown just proved too strong with the 5-3 victory over Coalition Zoo. But there was some good signs there for TCZ.
Absolutely, no doubt about it, I think. So well, it'll be interesting to see how this one turns out, of course. You know, we can theory craft all we want, but at the end of the day, it comes to a lot more things than just the teams themselves. What maps they pick, you know, what tanks they pick, whether the new Swedish tanks make another appearance today. TCZ definitely used them yesterday quite a bit with their in-game leader and shot caller, of course, Mr. Madhouse, the youngest player in the WGL, picking up the STRV 103B, the S-Tank as it's known.
Yep. The S-Tank was used quite well by Madhouse in TCZ, but we also saw him pick up the UDES on steps. That didn't quite work out so well. So we'll have to see whether or not they're going to change up some of their strategies here in their second match. But having a look across at the maps that they've been picking up here, Himmelsdorf coming out first, Ruhenberg, Mines, Steps, and Ghost Town. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Coalition Zoo that picked up the first map pick. So they picked Himmelsdorf, and then Horsemen grabbed Ruhenberg and Mines.
Right, okay. Interesting picks here. I mean, obviously, Coalitions are picking Himmelsdorf. That's a fairly standard one. But seeing Ruhenberg first up from the Horsemen, yeah, I'm not sure what strategies are we bringing to that one. Mines, I think, definitely favours the Horsemen a little bit more, particularly now that they're bringing in someone like Sphinx from EL, who obviously has a lot of experience on mines.
Yep.
And Steps and Ghost Town. I think TCZ, honestly, if I was them, I would be wanting that Ghost Town map a little bit earlier in the pool because they are so good at playing these sort of close quarters, tight, brawly sort of maps like Himmelsdorf, like Ghost Town, where there isn't too much room to maneuver. There's not too many flanking options. You can just get in there with your E100s, your nice big super heavy tanks and brawl it out. So hopefully TCZ would be looking to draw this to a tiebreaker, I think, for a chance at winning.
Yeah, look, I guess it all comes down to how this first map plays out. I think Himmelsdorf is going to be pretty crucial for Coalition Zoo. I'd be really looking to see them get a 2-0 if they want to set themselves up for, you know, like you said, that sort of a long drawn-out battle. If they go to a 1-1, I'm calling Horsemen maybe to have a bit of a better sort of a chance than what I gave them with that 5-3. I do think in general, Horsemen are looking at the moment like they're a little bit stronger than last season. Again, small sample size. We've only seen one match played from them, but they did look very good. And like you said, with the addition of Sphinx from EL, they are probably looking like, you know, they could be up there, you know, just beating what they, or beating their expected output from last season.
Right. It will be interesting to see because, of course, as well, it's worth mentioning that now I think everyone here in Australia seems to be getting quite a stable connection to the Watt servers. I know that I was playing last night and it was like butter.
It was great.
Almost. So TCZ definitely going to be liking that improvement, and who knows, could really influence them.
Get those training wheels off. It almost feels like, you know, having come from playing on like 250 ping, something like that, down to 150, it's really just a weight off your shoulders.
Absolutely.
You know, when you're doing sort of training, you run with weights, and then you come into the actual marathon,
it's like, wow,
and you've got no weights, and you just fly along. It feels great.
Yeah, because I actually went. I've just moved in with Jordan, of course. Now that we're
for better or for worse, Alex.
Yeah, now that we're best buddies, but. I actually got my 144 Hertz monitor set up for the first time in 6 months as well. So I got my 144 Hertz set up. I got the new World of Tanks kind of ping improvement. So it was like halving my ping and getting double the refresh rate at the same time. I was blitzing it up.
I'm sure you weren't blitzing anything up. You were probably more than likely flipping your tank twice as fast. If I know your general skill
I played the UDES and I did almost flip it.
Well,
almost. That's a crucial word here.
Yeah, but look, I mean, that is something to take away there for Coalition Zoo. We saw them yesterday. We had a bit of a listen in. They had some difficulties with the ping coming out there, but they had a pretty good time still against Meltdown. So it's an interesting point that you raised there, and I wonder if that's going to give them enough here to get over the line against the Horsemen.
Yeah, well, I guess there's only one way to find out, Jordan. But, of course, guys, if you want to make a prediction, if you think we are wrong in saying that TCZ are going to drop this one, then let us know. Of course, we always like to see everyone's feedback on Twitter. Use the hashtag WGLAPAC. Tag us at WGLAPAC as well, so we can get the retweets, get the likes going, all of that fun stuff, Jordan.
All of the fun stuff.
And while we're on the topic of that, there may even be a bit of a chance for all of our viewers on the English stream to date to win a few little prizes if you're watching at live.wgleague.net. We've got a few quests in store for everyone, which you can participate in. Just make sure you're logged in there on that website, wgl.gg/watch. Also redirects there, depending on how you like your links. But overall, some pretty fun stuff.
Oh, well, I hope maybe I can get my sneaky hand into the cookie jar there, pick up a few prizes for myself. But I'm sure that's probably against the rules, Alex. Still, looking forward to catching this third day of competition here. Obviously, we've spoken a little bit about Coalition Zoo and Horsemen. Team Efficiency Dark Horse has been rescheduled. We won't be seeing that tonight. But the next map after that, or the next match after that, Meltdown versus EL, that's kind of like number 1 versus number 3 or 4 from last season. In theory, should be quite a good one, especially considering the strength that Meltdown have showed so far this season. Yeah, they've been looking pretty strong to start us off. But yes, I think let's hold the thought on Meltdown right now, because it's time, of course, to head into Himmelsdorf, our first match for today. Matt, well, TCZ, they are no strangers to, I'm sure that the guys over on Horsemen have played a few rounds on that as well. Well, you'd like to think so. It is one of the more favoured maps here in the APAC region, so we'll have to see what tanks are going to be coming out here between the two sides. I know the guys from Coalition Zoo were in there watching Karen Tiger with those T95s, but I'm going to be picking those, going for the E100s, which is obviously one of their mainstay tanks. The Horsemen, though, going for a 4005. Not sure how that's going to work out against this relatively heavy lineup from Coalition Zoo. Yeah, I'm not too sure, actually. Of course, that FV4005 on the Horseman side, it's not going to be quite as effective against the Coalition Zoo. Those E100s, I mean, unless you get like a lucky headshot while they're crossing the banana right through their side, maybe the side of the turret, then it's going to struggle to go through them. Obviously, you're going to be wanting to focus those AMX 50Bs, even the 113. But Nandesu's got a big mountain ahead of him if he's to make a big impact in that British Tier 10 tank destroyer. For now, though, it's looking like we are getting the rollout happening with all of the Horsemen. Yeah, I like that initial positioning from Nandesu. Of course, it does mean that he can very easily just shoot across right through there, right towards the banana, either there or whenever any of the blue players on the Horsemen's side move up, or on TCZ's side move up. So, not a bad position. Yeah, well, unfortunately for Coalition Zoo at the moment, he's not going to have a chance at that, because Coalition Zoo are making their way up mostly towards that hill side of the map here. Nico Best Waifu just spotting things out there, not too afraid, because he knows the gun depression of those three heavy tanks aren't going to be able to really cause him too many difficulties unless they start to actually push down the hill. So he's relatively safe there, but lots of information over on the side of Horsemen now after he's spotted out those three tanks. And the Coalition Zoo have allowed Sphinx to push quite far forward into the banana as well, so he's spotting out that area too. The Horsemen here are getting a lot of information, getting a good gauge of what the Coalition Zoo are setting up for. Yeah, there we go. So the Horsemen right now, definitely feeling it out pretty well, getting some good scouting happening, and we can see even in the HP pools for both of these teams, the Coalition Zoo with 16,000 HP at the start of this battle, the Horsemen only with 13,700. That's all of those E100s on the Coalition Zoo side, really knocking that up. But interestingly enough, TCZ going to be rotating back down, and they did get a few of their E100s spotted out, and it's going to give Horsemen a very good bit of information, because the those E100s, if they're spotted out in one position, then they're probably going to be around there for a while. They don't move very fast. It's looking like Spencer did just get spotted out there by the Coalition Zoo, but really that's all the information they have apart from having spotted out Nico Best Waifu up over on sort of like that BU0 quadrant. And for now, Coalition Zoo, you know, they have to slowly but steadily start to make their way forwards. These E100s trying to get ready to get in a good position and get into the fight. A little interested to see if Coalition Zoo are actually going to commit in towards this 2-flag push, because that's not something that we typically see all that often on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, sure about that, but right now it's looking like TCZ still just biding their time, not wanting to commit to anywhere just yet, and it's not a bad idea to scout it out a little bit more, make sure they're confident in when they push. And interesting that we've got the Horseman Sphinx, formerly Flag. He is pushed down there to that E8 area, right down the banana line. It's not quite so often that we see those tanks on the defensive side push that far up to the E line. Normally they sit a little bit further back.
Must be feeling pretty confident because he's really on his own at that point. So if the Coalition Zoo actually do decide to charge right up that banana line, Sphinx is either going to go down fighting, or he's just going to have to try and hightail it out of there without taking too much damage, because he doesn't have any backup at all from the Horsemen, and that's, for me, the major worry at the moment. Just try to get a shot into the lower front plate of that E100, not quite connecting it properly, and doesn't manage to get any damage across. And now here he has spotted out pretty much all of those Coalition Zoo players. Roby1 Kenobi leading the charge, does take one shell from Sphinx there, who he sort of maneuvers himself into the courtyard just a little bit safer, but that is going to allow Coalition to make their way down that banana line. And you're right, that FV4005 needs to connect a shot here. Joke taking 388. That's not quite enough just yet. Looks like the 4005 hasn't been involved in this fight all that much just yet, and Sphinx is really under pressure now, taking shots from the front, taking shots from the back. Lion in that T10 doing a good job of poking around behind him and just pumping those shells into the back of him. In the end, it's going to be Pac-Manius in the AMX-50B who will find the first kill, and I think that's just a little bit of a mistake there from the Horsemen. Sphinx going down, I mean, they've done a decent amount of damage to the Coalition Zoo, but really, that 1-for-0 trade is very favourable for the Horsemen. Well, was for the Coalition Zoo rather, but for the Horsemen, that's a big shot coming out from the 4005. Pac-Manius does go down. And now we're back to that 6 versus 6. Now with Lion very low on HP. Spencer's done a good job again in that 1390. We've got to highlight Spencer on Himmelsdorf. Had a good game yesterday or the day before on Friday, but you know, he seems to really be coming up big for the Horsemen on Himmelsdorf at least. Yeah,
for sure. So now with that kill earned by the FE4005, it's going to mean that TCZ are 2 tanks down to the Horsemen's 1. TCZ still got lots of hit points on the field, lots of guns, with a lot of damage on the field as well. They are going to be putting that E100 on towards that 2 flag, but I'm not really liking their positioning, because we've got one member from Horsemen flanking from the hill. OBOV, he's going to be coming up from the banana. Nandesu's still around that 2 flag, so TCZ, they are very far from having this situation under control.
Yeah, I agree. I think Horsemen have done a good job here of just encircling the Coalition Zoo, and TCZ are going to have to fight here. They're not going to be able to run away. They're not going to be able to maneuver their position to try and, you know, maybe make their way over towards that 1 flag or something like that. They will have to take the fight as soon as Horsemen decides they want to push in here, because the Horsemen have done a great job of laying this trap, and now it's just going to be executing those shots, getting in all of those different angles and trying to make the Coalition Zoo a little bit worried as to where they want to be aiming their turrets. Pixel taking a shot from Hawks. OBOV trading with Joke. That's not ideal in the AMX-50B. Needs to get a couple more shots off here. Has missed the second, or bounced the second to third as well. Not managing to connect fully. And here comes the 4th. So overall, probably still a favourable trade for the E100, I would say. Now Nandesu taking a bit of damage. He's been spotted out. Roby1 Kenobi and his teammate in the other E100 are starting to push in there. Nandesu looks like he's not going to get another reload off, I would think. Roby1 Kenobi will get his first, but it's all down to whether or not Nandesu can get around this corner in time. He just manages to get around, and Roby1 Kenobi has to put the shell into Archon instead. But in the end, he doesn't necessarily get a favourable trade, and Nandesu should be able to clean this one up. The other E100 not going to be able to cover off Roby1 Kenobi here, and Nico Best Waifu in that bat chat as well, starting to cause a bit of trouble. Here comes Nandesu with that 4005. It does pick up the kill, and now only 4 players remain for the Coalition Zoo. Nandesu does lose his teammate in Archon, but still, I think this is a pretty decent situation now for the Horsemen.
Yeah, this should be just a matter of cleanup now for the Horsemen. Their E100s cannot contend once they're kind of outnumbered. It just becomes way too hard to turn the turret fast enough and snap between two sort of angles with those ones. So it will be actually crazy getting the kill on towards the FV4005. I think that might be the last big kill there for TCZ, unless they can take out OBOV as well. With only 2 tanks left, and the E100 only likely to get 1 shot off as well. 2 minutes on the clock to boot. The Horsemen are in not much danger of losing this game here.
No, not at all. The E100 there, he's going to take a shot into the lower front plate. That's a nice little bit of a, I guess, thread of the needle there for Hawks. So he gets it just between the carcass of that AMX-50B and the wall. Second shot from Hawks. Maybe not quite as good, bouncing off the side of the E100 there, but in the end, OBOV is able to clean up the kill. And it's just Cryzip now left alive for the Coalition Zoo. We'll be going down momentarily. That's the first round on the board for the Horsemen here. 1-0.
1-0. Okay, well played to the Horsemen. Good way to start things off. And look, I just wasn't a big fan of that push there from TCZ. They did get spotted out early. The only glimmer of hope they had was when they did manage to take out Sphinx early on in that 113 up the banana line. But we could see from that last fight there that Horsemen always felt in control, and they always picked the angles where they wanted to engage from. TCZ was playing reactively rather than actually making the plays for themselves. So.
Yeah, definitely. And Horsemen really controlled that. As soon as you saw that sort of, I guess, that perimeter of Horsemen vehicles around the guys on Coalition, so you kind of felt like this might be all said and done for TCZ in that round. But they do have one more half here. In saying that, though, I've already said, I thought if Horsemen could get at least one round here on Himmelsdorf, Coalition Zoo might be in for a bit of a difficult time. So that's happened, and now Horsemen, if they can 2-0 this one, then, well, Coalition Zoo are going to be on struggle street, so to speak.
Absolutely. So TCZ going to need to pull it back a little bit after that one, and struggle street particularly because it is Himmelsdorf. Like we've said before, it's a map that TCZ should be winning. They like these maps with the E100s. They're the maps that they're most experienced on. They've picked it in this one as well. So really should be looking to secure at least a 1-1 on this one.
I wonder what we're going to see coming out here from the Coalition Zoo on the defensive side, because they are one of those teams that picks something like, a T123 Madhouse, very keen on getting into that tank.
Yeah, they like that. I would much prefer to see the double T95 again. Not from them, of course, but the double T95 that we saw a little bit earlier this week.
Was quite powerful. Kind of a difficult nut to crack, that sort of a strategy, but digressing a little bit, let's have a look at the battle stats here, and no surprises there to see the majority of those Horsemen players up towards the top of the scoreboard. Hawks, OBOV, Nandesu, Archon, and even Spencer in that 1390 finding themselves in the top 7.
Spencer doing a good job there for the Horsemen. 1600 damage in the tier 8, and down the bottom there, Roby1 Kenobi. Oh, in 8th spot, 1500 damage. That's 2 shots that went through, and that's the difference when you're firing the E100. He fired 4 shots, but only dealt 1500 damage. It could have been 3k damage if he'd actually got all 4 in, but that's the danger with it. Sometimes you roll the dice or just miss by a millimeter and lose 750 damage a pop.
Can sometimes be difficult to get some penetrating shots with the E100, but of course, you do what you can, and 3 E100s on the side of the Coalition Zoo just wasn't enough in that situation, so maybe we're going to see a few more here on the defensive side. I'd say 2, maybe even 3 likely to come out here from Coalition Zoo. They do, generally speaking, like to sort of sit themselves up in that northwest corner of the map with a couple of E100s, a T110E3, and just wait for their opponents to come to them, and then from there on out try and brawl it in the city.
Yeah, that's right. So whether they do that or not yet to be seen, but I think the TCZ, well, I don't know. They're probably going to be going with some T110E, one T110E3 here, I want to say, going to a bit more of their fullback defensive strategy now that they are on the defensive side and have swapped over, of course. Whereas on the side of Horsemen, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them pick up maybe 1 Kranwagen, maybe an Emil, something like that, on the attack. I think it would suit their play style. They do like to play fairly fast. So yeah, that's my prediction. I think we're going to see T110E3, Kranwagen, and the rest fairly standard.
I sort of get the feeling, though, on Himmelsdorf that maybe the AMX-50B is going to be a bit of a better pick in that situation than a Kranvagen. I mean, obviously they kind of fulfill different roles, but it still, to me, feels like an AMX-50B with the autoloader, regardless of the situation, is probably just going to be a little bit stronger than a Kranvagen. I guess if you maybe want to hold down some super hold down position, that could potentially be something there. But even then, you know, you got to think maybe why don't I pick up an IS-7, just have that little bit of extra HP pool to play with, a little bit of extra sturdiness on the side and back armor just to bounce a few more shells. It is, I guess, a bit of a question, and obviously something that is going to be answered throughout this season. But I would suspect it's more likely.
It's fun.
Yeah, well, this is a little bit more serious than just fun, Alex.
Well, it is, but it is a very fun tank to play, and you know, could help boost team morale. And you know, if everyone on the team's happy, then they might be making, you know, better decisions. Might be a little bit more.
You know what makes me happy, Alex?
What?
Winning makes me happy.
Yeah.
So picking the best tanks for the situation would be what would make me happy.
That's fair enough, I guess. But TCZ, they like to have a little bit of fun sometimes, while still playing seriously. I think you can do both. It's not, they're not mutually exclusive.
No.
So, and yeah, I think I agree. The Kranvagen, it can get into some nice hold down spots. There's no reason why you can't pick a Kranvagen and like some more AMX 50Bs as well, just for something to kind of lead the charge in. You know, even if you're walking or driving down the banana line, having a Kranvagen at the front might be decent to, you know, get 4 clips off, ricochet a few shells. It's probably going to die after that. You know, maybe a little bit better than an AMX 50B for something like that, if that's what they're going to go for.
It's not particularly difficult to go through the hull of the Kranvagen frontally, though. So you would need to be very careful with your positioning as you're making your way down that banana line there, because obviously if you position poorly against players of this caliber, you can just get penetrated straight through the front of that tank very, very easily.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, on the defensive side, again, we did see the 113 of Sphinx yesterday, today. So.
Alrighty, well, let's find out whether or not Alex's Kranvagen dreams are going to be answered here on Himmelsdorf, because we've got our tank lineups.
Yep.
And it is going to be a Kranvagen for the Coalition Zoo. It's on the defensive side,
on the defensive side, yeah.
Not on the attack.
I like that. Kranvagen on the defensive side. I mean, you know, like you said, can hold down quite decently. So
T123 there as well, coming out, of course, and the E100s. No surprises for the Coalition Zoo there. Horsemen with those standard AMX 50Bs, 113s, back chat 1390.
Yeah, I'm kind of definitely going for the Coalition Zoo right now because they picked the Kranvagen. And they don't actually have any AMX 50Bs, so that's a little bit dangerous.
A little bit worrying. I do like the Horsemen in this situation if they can, you know, use those AMX 50Bs as they need to be used, get their clips off, go back and reload, and then fire in there with a few more clips again, then I definitely think they have a good chance of closing this one out 2-0. And that's Rurenberg, but we're actually playing on Himmelsdorf.
Yes, that is correct. A little bit of a teaser for the next one here, but as we roll out on Himmelsdorf, we can see that it will be Roby-1 Kenobi in that T110E3. Of course, the familiar face for those of you that might have watched our WGL APAC Season 1 finals. He was over here at the analyst desk, sitting...
As was Madhouse.
As was Madhouse, absolutely. We had a full TCZ complement. But let's take a look at where they're rolling out to. Off the gates, and TCZ, very defensive, very standard setup.
Sitting in that northwestern side of the map, just holding those positions and letting their opponents come to them.
Yep. And look, TCZ do this so often on Himmelsdorf. It's really not a surprise at this point. You cover off lots of angles, you cover off lots of ground, and it's not really something that you can fault. So
Krazib taking a shot there from Hawks as he sort of crossed that angle leading into the banana. So a decent start for the Horsemen. Getting a free shot in is always going to be nice.
Nice. But right now, it's the Horsemen. We've got a couple of those AMX 50Bs down the bottom on that kind of K line there. Now we can see Lion on the screen is going to be slowly scouting out. He's getting a little bit bold to go so slowly over the rail tracks, but luckily for him, no Horsemen members are looking down there. Instead, the Horsemen very spread out at the moment, and instead this time it's going to be Hawks that takes the early banana control at the E8 area.
Yeah, I like the setup though from the Horsemen. I mean, they don't necessarily need to be pushing in this early. They've got plenty of time to play with. Just want to sniff out what's going on with the Coalition Zoo. Obviously, they want to figure out where Roby-1 Kenobi actually in the T123 this time as opposed to Madhouse is. Obviously, you know, one thing that's just occurred to me is that Madhouse isn't playing today.
Yeah?
So that's interesting here for the Coalition. So.
Yeah, well, you're right. Yeah, exactly. So I wonder who their kind of replacement shot caller is going to be in this situation. Is it Roby1? Or maybe someone else takes over the role? I'm not sure.
I've been informed by our lovely producer that Madhouse and Nomad are both sick today.
Oh.
That's why they're not in this lineup. So, yeah,
Big
interesting.
night last night for Madhouse.
Maybe. But yeah, I wonder who's going to be calling for the Coalition Zoo. Maybe later on down the track we'll get to have a listen in and maybe discern who's calling the shots there for the Coalition Zoo. But for now, focusing in on the Horsemen, Spencer has made his way very far forward up toward the northern end of the map, and he's getting in close towards that 2 flag. He can plonk himself down there, and that's when things are going to start to get a little bit exciting, because then the Coalition Zoo will be required to get a bit of a defensive position on. I think now might actually be a good time, Alex, to figure out what's going on in the Coalition Zoo camp, see who's leading the shots.
Should we? I'm thinking, well, that's the thing, they stick a guy on cap 2 and then they push over here sometimes.
Yeah, I think
so.
Chippy and I will move up the D line out of here.
Yeah, they did it already.
Yeah. Okay, so come out of the window, Robbie.
2 cap.
Pixel, I think you should stay there this time, and Krasov and Robbie and I will make a presence over here.
Are they still there,
We
Chip?
need someone to spot.
But, you know.
We need that spotted and that.
I'll do a sideways thingy.
Krasov, we need
okay?
you out here. Krasov, you there?
Oh yeah.
So I'm doing a sideways thing. Get him lit. Bounce the shot. Cool.
Shall I cross?
Wait. I'm thinking. Cross go. You bounce the second shot. You can cross Krasov. Alright.
Alright, they got off. Just pull back. Just pull
Yeah,
back.
pull back, pull back.
That might be the bad chat.
I'll
Are you
pick some
serious?
right.
Going through this fight again.
Fired, yeah.
There's a 50B up on the hill.
Yeah.
Hearing a lot of Roby1 Kenobi's voice in there, I think maybe he might be calling a few of the shots. I think it might have also been Joke saying a few words there, so maybe they're taking the roll together. Pixel just taking a big chunk of damage as well as we got towards the end of that little bit of a listen-in segment. You could see the disappointment, or hear the disappointment in the Coalition Zoo as that sort of couple of shots connected from the Horsemen. But have a look at that health swing in the last couple of minutes as we've been listening into the Coalition Zoo. They've lost about 3,000 HP. Horsemen with a big advantage now.
Yeah, Horsemen looking very, very strong. Barely lost a single point of HP. Only Hawks has taken a shot so far, which is very worrying if you're on TCZ's side. And it's strange because TCZ should be the ones winning these trades. And, like, it's just a scenario when these E100s don't hit their shots, don't go through, then they can't do anything for, I think over 10 seconds while they reload. So, not a great start here for...
Sphinx has got a great line down that sort of 5 corridor. As soon as Krazib, Roby1 Kenobi, or any of those other tanks start to cross that line, Sphinx is going to get at least one free shot in, and that's going to make life even more easy, considering the advantage here that Horsemen have already got. So liking this setup from the Horsemen. Coalition Zoo for me are going to need to make their move relatively quickly. There is that free shot that I spoke about from Sphinx, 422 going into Jokes. And he's going to get another one because he'll be off the reload by the time those next couple of tanks want to cross. And, well, Horsemen really just giving the Coalition Zoo a bit of a headache right now.
Yeah, Horsemen right now looking super, super strong. 34 seconds left until that cap is in action. Joke here, he's going to be poking really wide. Taking a lot of damage on the side of that E100. He might not even be able to get the reset off on towards Spencer because his tank's too fat. Oh, there we go, he does.
A big shell, or a big HE shell, just into the back corner of the ground where Spencer is standing. And of course, HE shells, they do have an area of effect, sort of a, I guess,
splash
radius. Yeah, that's right. And he's able to reset that.
Oh,
cap,
look at this down below. Hawks might be in some trouble.
Yeah, Nundesu as well, taking a little bit of damage there, but Sphinx is going to be doing a good job of backing up his teammate Hawks there. The FV215B taking a big chunk of damage. Pixel in that E100 as well. Not looking super duper healthy there. And the Horsemen now starting to get involved in this fight properly. It's a good spot there for Hawks. Not going to be too easy to push him out of that position, and that spot that he is in is going to deny Pixel and that E100 from wrapping around behind Archon and OBOV, who are in fact now starting to make their way down to the southern end of that corridor and trying to duel those tanks, but up on the cap, Nundesu getting involved in the fight, does go down to Krazib. Overall, it's actually a 2-for-1 trade here for the Coalition Zoo, but the Horsemen have got so much HP to play with, and now we start to see a couple of kills going their way. Lion in that 1390 really trying to put some damage into Sphinx, but a tier 8 tank just can't get the damage output that it needs sometimes, and well, the Coalition Zoo with 4 tanks alive up against 5 of the Horsemen are starting to struggle.
Yeah, the Coalition Zoo are not looking strong at all. Horsemen running away with this one. And TCG, again, just not able to trade effectively. They tried to push there on towards, I think it was Hawks in that 113. Hawks just slid right off the little mound, and suddenly the TCZ E100s that were pushing on towards them found themselves well out of position, getting fired on from Sphinx. And now with only 4 tanks remaining, and 4 not very healthy tanks.
The problem here, though, for the Horsemen now is they've only got 2 minutes left to play with here on Himmelsdorf, and from what I can remember last season, and from some of the things that I've been watching from them around the place, they have actually been one of those teams that's tended to leave things a little bit too late, especially on Himmelsdorf, so they do need to get in there and get that fight going on. Hawks is going to be getting the lion's share of the damage done to him on the side of Horsemen, but that's going to be enough for the Horsemen guys to get in there, get that damage across. Archon finding the kill onto Pac-Manius, might also get this one, and he does do that. Krazib's going to go down. Lion in the 1390 getting very low, and his teammate Roby1 Kenobi getting dropped by OBOV over towards that 2 flag. Now it is going to be just really that game of chase Lion down and take him out, and I think that's going to have to fall on Spencer at the moment, because really he's the one with the most speed on his tank. Maybe some of these heavy tanks might not be able to catch him. I mean, there's only 1 minute left, but well, I guess if you're going to cross there, that's never going to work out too nicely for you. And in the end, it was a comfortable win for the Horsemen.
Yeah, and Lion hit like a little bump, a little obstacle, which slowed him down way too much in that scenario. So unfortunately for Lion, just did not work out. And even if he had have got through there, the cap was on 30 seconds with 3 members of Horsemen in it. So no chance for TCZ to come back into that one.
Nope.
Very, very controlling win for the Horsemen on TCZ's favourite map almost, Himmelsdorf. So not a great start.
Definitely not a great start. I think there are going to be some issues here that we might start to see coming out for Coalition Zoo, missing obviously Madhouse, such a key player in their roster.
Yeah, I think that's really hurt them here. And we could hear, when we jumped into their comms, it was very different to yesterday. Yesterday, you know, we heard everyone kind of directing their questions at Madhouse. Every second it was like, okay, FE215, do I push? And Madhouse was like, okay, 113, go, you guys go. The 113 was like, okay, I've been spotted, etc., etc. But this time, we jumped in, it was a lot more confused. You know, Roby was saying some stuff, Joke was saying some stuff. You couldn't really get a clear sense of the one dedicated in-game leader that TCZ had, and I think that's really hurt them.
Yeah, well, it definitely goes to show here that Horsemen are looking like a bit of a stronger team at the moment, at least in this matchup. 2-0 in their favour after the first map there on Himmelsdorf, making their way over to their own map picks now. It's going to be Runeberg and then Mines, so they are in with a good chance here to pull off a pretty clean win against Coalition Zoo, I've got to feel.
Yeah, well, I think so as well. Mines, let's hold the thought on that one so we can see who were the top players of our last game there on Himmelsdorf. Of course, Hawks there in that 113, 4.8 thousand damage, dealing crazy amounts with 14 shots fired. So, you know, he made sure just about all of his shots went through, minus maybe 2 or so. That is a very impressive number for the 113, and Sphinx not doing too badly with 3.5k as well. Roby1, good to see that he managed the 3k mark.
A little bit surprising to see those AMX 50Bs getting out damaged by those 113s, but I guess the 113s were really in some good positions there to be just pumping damage out. And well, Nundesu in the bat chat only getting 1 shot off, but or 1 connecting shot off, but you know, still managing to get a kill. So good stuff overall here from the Horsemen. I think they're in a good spot.
100%. And moving on now to Mines, I think
it's Runeberg. I might have put them down in the wrong order.
Sorry,
Alex.
yes. Runeberg, of course. Moving on to Runeberg, I think maybe TCZ might be able to bring out a win on the defensive side, possibly.
I actually don't mind Coalition Zoo on the attacking side of Of Rurenberg, yeah. They kind of can, you know, get up in towards that top flag, get some of those heavy tanks in there. They've got obviously some interesting strategies. We saw the Oho last season coming out.
Well,
from
that's
them.
right, exactly.
Maybe that's something that's on the card here this season. I don't know.
Actually, I was playing the Type 5 Heavy last night, actually, and you know, mucking around with the Oho, and unfortunately, the Type 5 Heavy does seem quite bad. Maybe I'm bad, but
maybe it's a bit of both, Alex.
It's a little bit of both potentially, but I was like, why don't the WGL players pick this one? Like I play it, it's like,
oh, that's why.
That's why.
Yeah.
Oho.
Nah. All right, let's get off that thought for the moment now, Alex, because that was not that great. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing any Type 5 heavies coming out here. If anything, it'll be the E100s, maybe a mouse, but I feel like even that is stretching it a little bit here for the Coalition Zoo. T1 T3 would definitely be possible here on Rurenberg, just firing down those angles. I think that's something that we've seen before. Don't think we'll see a T95 from Coalition Zoo. It's not something that they seem to be picking up all that often.
I'd love to see the T95 picked by TCC. I might have a little bit of a word to Madhouse after this and be like, mate, tell your team to pick some more T95s. They're top stuff.
Well, he's probably watching right now, to be honest.
Yeah, well,
so,
exactly. If he's a dedicated
look down the barrel of that
WGL
camera.
APAC viewer, Madhouse, come on. You hear me? T95s, let's make it happen. They were 100% win rate so far Season 2.
Off one game.
100% win rate. 2 tanks were picked, so that's like 2 games.
Not really. That's not how it works.
Extrapolate it.
It's the reason why I'm the stats guy and you're not. Because you just don't know how they work. So
my prediction's looking pretty good now, mate.
Yeah, well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. What do you think we're going to be seeing coming out here on Rurenberg? Is it going to be a 1-1?
I think out of all of the maps that might be 1-1 here, going by my prediction, this probably will be it. I think Rurenberg, it is a very two-sided map, or very one-sided map for some of these teams. Like you said, the attack, TCZ, pretty strong at. I will be saying a 1-1. So.
Alrighty, well, looking down the rest of the map pool, Mines, I think that's one that's probably going to be okay for the Horsemen. But in saying that, when we saw them up against Karen Tiger, they did get 2-0'd on it early on. It was actually the first map of the WGL APAC Season 2.
Yeah, rough. They kind of got pounced on by Karen Tiger on Mines and didn't have much of a response. So not really looking forward to them. But yeah, again, like having that last map, I don't really see why they... Well, I suppose, yeah, why they would leave Ghost Town to the tiebreaker and not pick it as the 4th map, potentially. So I would have preferred to have seen that coming out instead of our 4th map, which is Steps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Steps here for the guys on Horsemen. They were pretty good at Steps last season. I think they've got some good stuff up their sleeves. But again, maybe we see something coming out of Coalition. So we did see that UDES boost didn't work out yesterday, but maybe that's something that they're going to do today. I'd have to say probably not this time because obviously Madhouse isn't playing and he was the one to do that. But who knows? Maybe someone else on that roster can do that boost.
How hard is it when you've got like one of your core players who is so crucial in no doubt making some of the strategies, calling out some of the strategies, and specializing in some of those tanks like the UDES, like the S tank, and being the dedicated player on the team who plays those tanks? How hard must it be for TCZ to go without him today?
Well, I think it must be incredibly difficult. I mean, he's been with that roster obviously all of last season as well, so they're going to be very used to using him there. And, a lot of the teams, I think more so some of the Asian teams, B Gaming, Karen Tiger, they tend to swap their players around quite a lot to fit the sort of the circumstances. But I don't sort of get that feeling as much from the likes of Team Efficiency or Coalition Zoo, who are a little bit more predominantly Australian, Malaysian, Singaporean sort of players. So we'll have to see whether or not maybe that's something that is going to creep into those other teams' play styles. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be great sort of a situation here for Coalition Zoo. Maybe it wouldn't affect a team like B Gaming, Karen Tiger as much as what it is here for TCZ.
Maybe, but yeah, our best wishes to Madhouse. Hopefully makes a speedy recovery so he can show us more UDESs and S-Tanks here in WGL APAC Season 2. But for now, we're not going to be seeing that. Maybe this is a good opportunity, actually, for the rest of TCZ to try something new, wouldn't you think? When your standard strategies using those tanks aren't really available to you because Madhouse isn't in and Nomad's not in as well. Maybe it's time to try something a little bit new. Throw a spanner in the works, so to speak.
Yeah,
I wonder. Spanner in the tracks.
I wonder, I mean, can you think of anything necessarily that we haven't seen really throughout the WGL APAC, which might be quite useful?
Oh, I can think of lots of things which might be quite useful, Jordan.
Don't throw yourself under the bus here, Alex.
Oh, where do I start?
Okay, go.
Oh, I actually have to start. No, well, the Type 5, that definitely should not be picked. So the players are doing really well there. I want to see an Object 263 this season. I
think we saw a couple last season, didn't we?
Oh,
on the defense of Ruinberg. Just one round. It was two, I'm pretty sure.
Only one round max, but I want to see more because I honestly think that when you don't have the threat of artillery, when you need a fast tank destroyer, a low-profile tank destroyer, high damage, you know, we're seeing these teams pick the Udezes now, which, yes, does have the extra gun depression, but apart from that, like, that's really the only extra thing that it offers. And the Object 263, it will bounce a lot of these shells. Even though these guys are all firing premium, you know, you throw it up against TVPs, it'll ding everything from the front.
I think it's a little bit difficult, though, in the sense where you basically said, you know, if you don't have that that threat of the SPG, you don't actually know what the other team is going to be picking until you've picked your tank.
Well,
so there is some of that
mind game.
We
rarely have the threat of the SPG in these games. Yes, we did see it a couple of times yesterday, and I think on some of the more SPG-oriented maps, you know, maybe Steps, we've seen it a couple of times, maybe Prokhorovka, then, yeah, you'd be mindful of that. But I still really think that the 263 it can offer a lot. Also because I play it, and
you're just that kind of guy. Well, if you ask me, I'd say pick the RU251 because I play that, and well, look at that. They already picked that. Damn, I must be pretty good at this. Anyway, looks like we're going to be having a look again at the maps here. Himmelsdorf, obviously, we've just seen that one coming out here. Coalition Zoo losing 0-2 on their own map pick there to the Horsemen. Obviously, Ruinberg coming up after that, as we've said. And then Mines, Steps, and Ghost Town being the tiebreaker map. I do like having Ghost Town in the map pool. Like I said yesterday, one of my favorite maps, I think, of the entire WGL pool. And actually, one thing that's interesting from last season to this season is that we haven't had any new maps put into the pool, and none of the maps have been taken out. It's the same exact map pool this season as it was last season. So I think that might have been something interesting to see. Just another one more map pulled in there for the to take out one map, I suppose.
Would have been interesting. Would have been
if you could. Okay, here's a question for you, Alex. If you could remove one of the maps from the WGL pool, which one do you think you'd remove?
If I could remove one, that's hard. Honestly, I'd probably remove. You got caught.
I did get
shuffling your pants a little bit.
Yeah,
there,
well, I mean, look, it's hot in the studio.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm lucky we're not standing up because everyone would see that we just have shorts on. So
maybe we should just stand up for the sake of it.
No, we shouldn't.
No, you don't want everyone to see your nice bright yellow shorts?
They're excellent shorts. They're mustard yellow, not bright yellow.
Okay, anyway, going back to the previous thought, which map were you removing from the WGL
which map
pool?
am I removing? Well, they never play it anyway, and they always just ban it out, so I just removed Muravanka.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking as well. I think I would remove Muravanka from the pool. I don't think it's the... Out of the 8, I think it's probably the least played, obviously, as you said. I don't find that it has the best matches on it either. I think there's a lot of moments where teams are just trying to figure out what's actually going on in the map, and we get to the 2-minute mark and then they just have to run in and die.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see Lakeside thrown into the mix.
Well, that used to be in the map pool, didn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. I'd love to see it thrown in again in the attack and defense format that we play here. So
I would just like to see a little bit more variety in the map pool. I think that would be interesting to see. Like, how we've seen the S-Tank and the Kranwagen coming in here, it's kind of shaken up how we've seen the tank picks coming out. I think if we had another map in the pool, it would definitely shake up how the map picks do come out between a lot of the teams as well.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. And, well, it's looking like we might be heading to a quick little break, Jordan.
Yeah, definitely has been a little bit of a time between you and I having to have a bit of chat here. So we might have a bit of a break, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes with the rest of Coalition Zoo and the Horsemen.
A new member has joined the League of World of Tanks Nations. Swedish vehicles will soon join the game. Their specifications haven't been finalized yet, so we still don't know the precise armor thickness or speed. But the most important thing is already clear: their character. Let's take a look at them. The Swedish tech tree starts with a tank that has a rich history, the STRV FM21. Designed by German engineer Fulma, the tank was disguised as tractor parts when delivered to Sweden. In other words, it's all about intrigue and mystery. If you want to find out more, watch a special video about it. In our game, the STRV FM21 is a classic Tier 1 light tank. The only peculiar thing about it is its size. Large dimensions are compensated for by its hit points, but there's no need to go into detail, as you won't play the tank for very long. The first vehicle is followed by the STRV M38 and STRV M40L. These are decent tanks for their tier, without any visible drawbacks or outstanding strengths. Good, sturdy combat vehicles, and they already reveal some features of Swedish tanks: light armor, small dimensions, and excellent elevation and depression angles. The Tier 4 Lago tank is in line with this, a versatile vehicle, good for any task. A nice improvement is its slightly better dynamics as compared to its predecessors. At Tier 5, the speed of research in the game slows down, and players have time to feel what their tank is like. There are many interesting vehicles of different nations at this tier. Some are preserved in the garage forever. The Swedish STRV M42 has every chance of becoming a mainstay. Its mobility, speed, and firepower are ordinary. What make it extraordinary are the elevation and depression angles. With 15 degrees of gun depression, the tank can fire while hiding almost its entire hull behind the terrain. All in all, the STRV M42 is on a par with the best medium tanks at its tier. At Tier 6, players will face a challenge. They will have to rethink the tactics they are used to when playing the M42. The STRV-74 cannot boast good dynamics and armor. You could put up with this, if not for the size. It is too big for a medium tank. You hit, you penetrate. That's the kind of vehicle it is. As compensation for all these troubles, the tank received one of the most convenient guns in its tier. The gun features top-notch penetration capability and accuracy. It is convenient for firing at long range, and depression angle is also 15 degrees. This helps you hide this tall tank in terrain. In terms of gameplay, the STRV-74 resembles a tank destroyer. The next vehicle, Leo, will bring new challenges. It is the direct opposite of the STRV-74. Being comparatively small, it is a fast and maneuverable Tier 7 medium tank. The vehicle resembles a light tank, so even its thin armor doesn't look like a drawback. The gun causes mixed feelings. It has problems with accuracy, aiming, and stabilization. But the AP shell damage is great, 300 HP. Tier 8 is where medium tanks are replaced with the era of heavies in the Swedish tech tree. The top vehicles have similar character, so you can gradually refine your skill and reach perfection. In different periods, Swedish tank designers drew inspiration from different sources. First from the Germans, then from the Czechs. There was a period when they were keen on French ideas, like that of the oscillating turret, and this is apparent in the Tier 8, 9, and 10 tanks. Emil 1, the Tier 8 tank. It's like the AMX 5100. Both have a drum-type autoloader. From the French tank, the Emil 1 differs only in thick and well-sloped front armor. The armor is
guys, welcome back to the WGL APAC Season 2, Week 1, Day number 3. At the moment, we're in the middle of Coalition Zoo up against Horsemen. And just to update you guys on what's been going on, Coalition Zoo are going to be subbing out Lion and bringing in Odysseus due to some technical difficulties. But we're going to be back shortly into the game. The next map is going to be Ruinberg. We've just seen Horsemen picking up a 2-0 over the guys on Coalition Zoo on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, look, TCZ is certainly not looking super strong right now, and hopefully they can pull it back a little bit on Ruinberg, even up the score with the Horsemen here. And, well, the Horsemen, they're obviously going to be looking to continue on their little successful run. But, of course, Ruinberg, very different map to Himmelsdorf. Lots more ways to play it, a lot more open on the eastern side of the map as well, with that flag down the south of the town area there. Of course, we've got the one flag up right near the city, and lots of ways to play it, Jordan.
Yeah, we have had a bit of a discussion before that about how we think this map is going to play out between these two teams. You've gone for a 1-1. I think that might be a pretty reasonable prediction, actually. So I'm interested to see what tank lineups do come out here. Which team's going to be starting off on the defensive side, which is the important side here on Ruinberg. And there you go, triple mouse strategy coming out from Horsemen. That's a big health pool that Coalition Zoo are going to have to chunk through.
Yeah, absolutely. A crazy health pool right there for the Horsemen. We do not very often see 3 mouses at all. When it is, it does generally mean that they are going to be putting them on towards that that southern town flag, and just sitting them on there while the grill maybe snipes out from the city. The bat chats can head up and down the bottom, kind of 9 line, I guess, somewhere around there. TCZ, standard defensive setup.
Alrighty, well, let's have a look and see what happens here for the Horsemen. I mean, the couple of times that we have seen the mouse coming out on Ruinberg yesterday and the day before, they did head towards the 2 flag, but it does look like, for the moment at least, you might be on the right track. A bit more of a northern sort of a setup here for the Horsemen. Actually, a good couple of shots straight into Pixel there. I think one might have been coming out from the Grill 15 there of Nandesu, and maybe the other coming out from Spencer in that Batchat AP. Though I don't think he's actually reloaded just yet, so maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, Alex.
Who knows? I don't know. But right now, look, Crazy B sitting there along with another one of TCZ. Oh, no. Crazy B, what's he doing? He's just been spotted out. Very risky. He's paid the price.
Yeah, that is not good at all. And the Coalition Zoo losing a player early on in the piece, that's going to really free up things here for the Horsemen. Just one less player to look at, one less angle. Horsemen now have a lot more freedom across the map.
Yep, there we go. So losing one of their defenders already. Not a great start.
I like this from Archon here, if I may just butt in, because you can see what he's doing. When he's reloading, he's angling his turret away, and that's going to allow, or make it a little bit more difficult for the Coalition Zoo. There you go. Yep. That's a prime example of it. He's bounced a shell from the FV215B because of the angling of that turret, and great stuff from Archon, really understanding how to play that tank very well.
Yep. Strong mouse play there from Archon. OBOV is travelling generally straight on with his turret. He's a little bit more more ballsy. Yeah. OBOV. And it's looking like, interestingly, the third mouse isn't there with them. The third mouse is Hawks, is it? Up the top. Yeah, so the third mouse is actually up on that one flag, which you don't often see the mouses splitting up like that. But I guess, look, Horsemen, they've already eliminated one member of TCZ from up there, so they can actually split the rest of their forces and put pressure on from different points of the map. I really like this.
Yeah, this is pretty much going exactly how the Horsemen would have dreamt about it, because getting onto that flag early on now, 3 tanks on there, a lot of pressure here for the Coalition Zoo, starting to rotate their way over towards the northern part of the map, and they have got a good chance to get some resets here, but Roby1 Kenobi, he has been ammo-raxed slightly a little bit there. That's going to just increase the reload time. I don't know if he's got a repair kit for that. At least he's still got 4 shots left in the clip, so he's going to be able to put some damage across. But Joke goes down there to OBOV in the mouse, and, well, Coalition Zoo just looking in all sorts of trouble right now.
It's not looking great for them, and they actually need to get a cap reset as well, because in 20 seconds that cap is going to be captured, I guess, from the Horsemen, who have 2 members sitting on it. And now Pixel's 1 shot from death. Once he goes down, TCC will only have 3 members left, and there's just no way that they can compete with the Horsemen. All 7 members still standing, and just a textbook maneuver there from the Horsemen, closing out that rotate that TCZ tried to do right there. And you know, when TCZ were heading up, kind of this line up here, Horsemen, they were ready. They had these mouses, they had the grill around this area. They could just free fire on towards those rotating members, and it worked really well. There you go. That is it. And Horsemen take out another.
3-0 for the Horsemen now, and look, that was just, yeah, it just was poor from the start there from Coalition Zoo. I mean, maybe you could argue Krazib got a little bit unlucky to get spotted out early on in the piece with that bat chat, but as soon as he went down, you could tell, you know, things were just not going to be easy for Coalition Zoo to come back into that one. You can't give away a tank for free like that at all.
No, not at all, unfortunately. So, well, Horsemen, they're going to be very happy about that. TCZ, again, it's a matter of back to the drawing board. And look, I think Horsemen, they can now just chillax a little bit potentially and just say, okay, we're playing well. You know, these strategies are working. We don't have to change much up.
Yep.
And yeah, they're obviously going to be pretty happy with it. Overall, though, I think that change has probably hurt TCZ quite a little bit. You know, maybe they were just starting to get into their groove, or you know, having Odysseus in, maybe not a core player quite as much, you know, isn't always the one in their matches. I'm not sure if that affects them, but
yeah, I think it was going to be difficult from the start, regardless of who was on that lineup. But obviously, that means Horsemen are now 3-0 up. As you said, that gives them a bit more freedom here heading into the late stages of this series. Let's have a look at the post-battle stats there for the Coalition Zoo and Horsemen on the first half of Ruinberg. And well, 6 out of 7 on the top there for Horsemen. That is, well, pretty much the entire story of that round.
That is brutal. That is brutal. 6 out of 7. And, well, when your top damage dealer only gets, like, 2k damage and you still obliterate the enemy team, you know you're doing well. And the 113 of TCZ with 1512 HP. Not too bad. Not too bad in terms of the damage charts there, but the rest of TCZ really not looking too flash. So, well, that's the defensive side on Ruinberg. We thought that TCZ, if they might win one, they might win their attack. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Krazib, there's 0 damage. The AMX 50B as well, 0 damage. So tier 9 and a tier 10 tank that do 0 damage, basically really just anchoring the team there for Coalition Zoo. Not what you want to be seeing, and then you need to turn things around here in the second half of Ruinberg. I definitely think they need to pick this one up if they have any hope, because 4-0 down, heading on to Mines, it really feels to me like Horsemen are just going to 5-0 that.
Well, I hope that they 5-1 it, so my prediction comes true.
Of course you do.
But, you know, maybe, I still think maybe TCZ can come back into this one on the attack. If they just go for it, if they just, you know, try something, you know, pick 6, I don't know, 6 bat chats or something, roll on towards that one flag and I don't know, RU251 or AMX 1390, something like that, just an all-out strategy that they can commit to. That means all they have to do is call targets, focus fire. As long as they can do that, then they're in with a chance.
We saw some interesting defensive strategies coming out yesterday from EL Gaming here on Ruinberg. They picked up the triple TVP setup, which we don't typically see. You almost thought maybe 3 TVPs was going to be a bit too much, but it did work out in the end.
It did, actually. Yeah. Look, 3 TVPs, I'm always still wary of because it's risky picking them. But obviously, it can be made to work. We've seen that. That's been proven now. So.
Definitely, obviously, EL Gaming knowing how to play that tank, knowing what they need to be doing. But I got to say, yesterday, I felt like EL Gaming still were a little bit shaky. So I think it's an interesting matchup coming up after this, EL Gaming versus Meltdown. I think that one might be closer than some people are going to think it will be.
Well, I think so as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, it is still up to TCZ. They going to need to pull their way back from this 3-0 disadvantage that they've found themselves in. And I think it is going to be a very tall ask for them to do so. But here on the second half of Ruinberg, we do rarely see Ruinberg 1-2-0, so that's maybe something they can, you know, gather a little bit of strength from, perhaps, or a little bit of morale. Think maybe, okay, you know, it's probably not going to be a 2-0. But
it just feels to me like Coalition Zoo haven't really been in this series at all. Like, Horsemen have just basically from the start of every single round got the initial advantage and been able to snowball off the back of that.
Yeah, so not ideal at all, unfortunately, for TCZ. But look, thinking about the tank picks for the second half, like you said, might see some TVPs in here, might see some bat chats. You reckon we'll be seeing any Swedish tanks?
Look, I think maybe the Kranvagen could come out here. Ayud's or an STRV. Maybe an STRV on the defense over towards that one flag is a possibility up right towards the back, but I'd probably still be favoring a grill in that sort of a situation. A Kranwagen, I'm not so sure about. I don't think there's too many positions where you'd probably find a Kranwagen sitting in. Maybe down that middle alleyway, sitting behind a couple of the hull down positions, but I think that's even grasping at straws a little bit. So let's go ahead and find out and see whether or not the Kranwagen is going to be finding itself into this matchup. And the answer is no, it will not.
No, so we're going to be seeing a bit more of a standard lineup from both sides here. Interesting, actually, that we've got the WZ132, the Chinese Tier 8 light tank, I do believe, on the Horsemen side. It's a fun little tank, the WZ. But TCZ going to be going with kind of a fairly TCZ-y lineup, if that's a word. The T110E. The T110E3, IS7 as well. So something a little bit heavy to complement there for Bat Chats and the RU251.
WZ132 as well coming out for Horsemen. That's a little bit interesting. Not something that we typically see all that much in the WGL. But here we go. Ruinberg coming out the second half, and a very crucial half as well for the Coalition Zoo, might I just add. So, attacking side for TCZ. Difficult times ahead for them.
Very difficult indeedy. So, the rollouts. Where are we heading out to? It's looking like Horsemen here are going to be heading out to the 2 flag to defend. Very early pushes coming in from the Coalition Zoo as they've sent 4 of their players down towards the southern side of that 2 flag. Joke in that T110E3 is going to be heading towards the middle. So they're definitely setting up for a 2 flag push right here. Very aggressive.
Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi getting his way very far forward in towards that 2 flag, but you can see the Bat Chats here of Coalition Zoo also coming in to back him up. Starting that sort of run along the street. Haven't been spotted out just yet, or perhaps they have, and they've slowed down just as a result of that. Horsemen do have that player down in the K0 line. I'd say that's the WZ132 of Spencer. We'll get a look in just a second. Indeed it is. Nice little bouncy turret on that little light tank.
Yep. WZ132 with 55mm of frontal turret armor. Very sloped though, of course.
Just going to see pretty much the standard battle here on Ruinberg. Coalition Zoo trying to take control of the 0 line, and once they can do that, or if they can do that, then they can start to focus in on that 2 flag. But Hawks in the 113, that's going to be a bit of a difficult target to remove from that position. Typically we'll see something like maybe a T-54 lightweight. It's typically a light tank down in that position, or if anything else, maybe a Bat Chat, but a 113, that's not going to be so easy to connect some shots into.
No, not so easy at all, but right now we do see a little bit of pressure started off from Obi-Wan Kenobi, getting himself on towards that 2 flag there, and Pac-Mania is not going to be trading out too well with Hawks. I'm not really liking this idea of Coalition Zoo trying to just like trade with a hold down 113 with Bat Chats. Like, I mean, unless they're waiting for the reload, shouldn't they just go for it?
Alrighty, Alex, well, we've heard from the Coalition Zoo, now it's time to hear from the Horsemen. Let's jump on board in the TeamSpeak with the Horsemen.
自己卖头找机会就可以了，尽量存活。
8、9、IG 射10。
50B 到后一点的位置来，肉包到那个防守位去。
靶架。IG 又射一发。
你在底
线。往下。一颗。2颗。
让我出去吗？我操！
你3开过。注意掩护我，那个也注意掩护我。13转头了，先打13，先打13。
先打013。
不要过过了，不要去追到很远的位置啊。13开炮了。13松断了。
我可以收。
好，我说，看。
打完之后来拔这个杠7啊。
Things were looking okay for the Coalition Zoo for a moment there, but now they've lost 2 tanks for only picking up 1 of the Horsemen, and does seem to be swinging back in the way of the Horsemen for now, Alex.
Yeah, Horsemen actually looking pretty good now that they've taken down Joke and Krazib. TCZ though definitely using those auto loaders, putting a lot of pressure on some of those tanks on the Horseman's side. And look at that OBOV, his engine's damaged. Spencer in the WZ132, ammo rack is damaged as well. Nandesu, one shot from death. So, you know, TCZ really putting the pressure on here. Horsemen are going to have to fight for this.
Yeah, we're going to see a bit of a difficult time for the Horsemen now, as they lose the next tank, obviously. But as you say, they are going to have to fight for this. Coalition Zoo still struggling, I guess, a little bit for the position on the map as well. They're kind of stuck down in this southern part of the map where they would have maybe wanted to get a bit of control up towards that town so that they can start fighting in there, having a bit of a better time of those brawls. But it's just not happening at the moment for the Coalition Zoo, and they don't have a huge amount of HP to play with. Specifically, those two Batchats are the ones that need to be really careful here, because if they go down, that's a big chunk of damage off the field for Coalition Zoo. Yeah, exactly. They cannot afford to lose too much more damage. They've already lost a T110 E3 and a Batchat, with Pacmanius in his Batchat not looking too happy either. 521 HP, so they are making a rotate. I like this. They're not just sticking to one area, just trying to push where it just will not work. Instead, rotating up towards the one flag. A little bit of an opportunity there. Archon, however, is in a decent spot to maybe spot them out as they cross that area. For now, though, Horsemen pretty happy just to sit back on their two flag defensive spots. They don't really know that TCZ has rotated just yet. Could be pretty crucial. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Horsemen don't have a huge amount of information as to what Coalition Zoo are doing, but I still feel like Horsemen here just have the HP pool that they need to be able to rumble with the Coalition Zoo at this point. In saying that, though, a lot of autoloaders on the side of Coalition Zoo, so if they do catch out one of these Horsemen tanks, maybe if Archon decides he wants to push into this city for some reason to get some information or something like that, then things might get a little bit difficult. But as you said, for now, the guys on Horsemen are quite content just to sit back and hold their positions and wait for the Coalition Zoo to come for them, which I think is the correct decision. Yeah, that's right. So we are going to be seeing TCZ pushing up now towards that one flag. Horsemen soon going to be able to start the rotate over. And the question is, do TCZ actually push on towards the flag? No. Instead, they're going to be going for the throat, so to speak, heading towards that, where that WZ132 Spencer is. One shot should be enough to take him down. More than enough, and he is going to go down to Pixel, but Nico Best Waifu and that AMX-50B still lurking around. I think he has just been spotted by those Batchats, but he's going to have to get some very critical shots in. Missing one already, does take one, and actually is going to get damaged. A second shot heading into Nico Best Waifu, so things are not actually looking so great here for the Horsemen. We'll have to see whether or not they're going to be able to rotate across and deal with this one. Archon going to have to come up huge in that T62A. Nico Best Waifu does avoid one of those shells from Pixel, gets the second into him, and he might actually get the kill here on Pixel, but he will go down eventually to that Batchat that was following up behind Pixel. I believe that's Odysseus in that one. We do see 3 versus 4 now in the favor of Coalition Zoo, so they do have the guns in the game, and Archon just not getting enough done in this T62. He needs to pick up Pacmanius. I don't think he's got the angle, though. Yeah, look, T62A is not a tank that we see very often, but it needs to get in. It needs to get those shots on. It's got some pretty good rate of fire on that one, but obviously Roby1 Kenobi has been sent to deal here with Archon, and I'm not sure if that's the correct decision from the Coalition Zoo. Tier 8 versus a Tier 10 is going to be difficult for Roby, but he does manage to connect the shell and penetrate it, and that's more than enough to get that final kill. Horsemen, though, still have the health advantage. All of these tanks, except for that IS-7 of the Coalition Zoo, are a one-shot for these FE215Bs, so this is still salvageable for the Horsemen. Yeah, I think that was one shot which really cost that T62A of Archon there, that he just didn't get through the RU-251, and it would have killed him. And surprising, because the T62A's gun is one of the best in the game, but here we go, 2 minutes left on the scoreboard. And until that base is captured. There's one kill from Flag, or Sphinx as he is now known. He does take a shot though in response, Puts him down to 541, which is still not a one-shot from any of these tanks. OBOV does get involved in the fight as well. Takes a shot or two. And it's going to be difficult now for him to survive. Pacmanius does take him down. And it's Sphinx up against Pacmanius, but I think Sphinx is on the reload. Pacmanius needs 2 shells in the time that it's going to take Sphinx to reload.
Oh, he's missed it!
Sphinx missed the shot. Pacmanius has another chance here. Has he even got a shot left in the clip? I'm not even sure. I can't tell.
He doesn't.
He's run out of ammo, and Sphinx is going to clutch the round out there for the Horsemen. It's 4 on the trot. I said that yesterday as well, but wow, Sphinx has come up pretty big there for the Horsemen. Well, he made a mistake. He missed the shot, but in the end, the job got done.
Crazy play there from Sphinx.
Would you say that was crazy B play, Alex?
Oh, that was crazy B and a half play.
Shout out to Krazib.
Shout out to Krazib.
Sorry for getting your name wrong all of last season.
I still call him Crazy B
sometimes. I know. Anyway, look. Wow. That's all I have to say about that.
Yep. Massive match. Absolutely massive. And look, I think that when it's so close like that, you've got to give props to TCZ for making it that close. Obviously, the closest match so far this season, without a doubt, you know, coming within 1 shot and having that FE215 being missed, that shot that could have been the decider.
Yeah. Oh, a couple of shots being missed in that little bit of a bout there between Sphinx and Pacmanius, I think it was. So, yeah, it could have been a little bit cleaner from both sides, I think. But look, that's what it comes down to, just hitting your shots sometimes. And in the end, Sphinx was the one to get the crucial shot across. And 4-0 over for the Horsemen now, and 2-0 on Himmels, 2-0 on Rurenberg. I just think this is all said and done for Coalition Zoo, in all honesty. That was probably their best chance to pick up a win, and they weren't even able to get it then.
Yeah, it's very tricky. But let's take a look at some of the top plays in that one to see how TCZ
have a count of how many shots missed there. So that one connects.
Then it's a miss.
Then Pacmanius bounced. I think he bounced that shell, and this must be when he runs out of ammo.
Yeah.
And Sphinx knows that he's going to be able to get the kill quite easily. Not much that Pacmanius can do in that situation.
Nothing he can do.
Well, having a look at the post-battle stats as well here, it was that Bat Chat up the top there for the Coalition Zoo. I believe Odysseus, Pacmanius as well, putting a good word in for himself, but just not quite enough damage coming out from him. All he needed was 1 more shot, and he couldn't get it. So disappointing there, but look, he did have the most shots fired and second most damage dealt, so he can't be kicking himself that much at the end of that one. Roby1 Kenobi in the RU251. Look, he only got 208 damage, but it was 208 damage that counted. Oh, yeah.
So, not doing too badly there either. The T110E3, again, I'm so not a fan of that tank. 2 shots went through. You know, in a tank destroyer, in a heavily armored tank destroyer like that, like, you could be doing more. I just think so. A little bit pointless for me, but again, I'm not picking these tanks. It's TCZ's job.
That definitely is, and well, it's going to be TCZ's job now to come back here into Mines with another fresh start and see if they can pull something off here, if they can at least get 1 or 2 rounds, save a bit of face up against the Horsemen. But I feel like they're really staring down the barrel of a 5-0 right now. Horsemen, even though they did look a bit shaky in that situation, OBOV and Sphinx really played together very well to be able to clutch that one out. It was a 4 versus 2. By all rights, it probably should have been a win there for Coalition Zoo, and I just think off the back of that loss, they might, you know, just be like, all right, we're done here. You know, tilted a little bit and just give a free win over to the Horsemen.
You've always got to keep your head in the game, even when things like that are looking dire, because even if they win 4, not 5, then they get a point. Every point counts at the end of the day. Every ladder position counts here in WGL APAC. So I really hope for TCZ's sake they can keep focused and they can, you know, really try. You know, think about Madhouse at home. You know, a little bit sick. Probably having a bowl of chicken soup right now on the couch.
Okay. Is that what you do when you're sick?
Well, that's what I used to, but now I don't cook chicken soup. So.
Well, insights into the mind of Gogo Gadget. That's another good Gogo Gadget factoid, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I've got a good chicken soup recipe. It's
excellent.
It's in a book from, not Curtis Stone, but another guy. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Alex. Thank you for the information there. But look, focusing back in on World of Tanks, which actually is our job, believe it or not.
What, really?
Yeah. Who would have thought? I mean, we just sit here and talk about chicken soup and Alex's habits while he's being sick. But yeah, 4-0 for the Horsemen at the moment. Moving on to Mines. Your prediction, please, Alex. Is it going to be 5-0?
I called 5-1 at the start. So I'm going to stick with 5-1. I'm going to stick with my guns. I was a bit flip-floppy yesterday. I was like a politician.
Yeah.
But I'm going hard, 5-1. So this next one, TCZ will take it out, then Horsemen will win it.
All right, well, I'm jumping on the Horseman bandwagon here. I think it's going to be 5-0 for the Horsemen, barring some sort of crazy thing that goes wrong for them. Remember, this is, of course, Horseman's pick as well, so they should be coming into this one feeling pretty confident. I know I mentioned previously, yesterday, or on Friday, actually, they had a pretty poor performance on Mines against Karen Tiger, but I think they will have had time to go away, have a bit of a look at those VODs, see what went wrong, and, you know, discern how they're going to go about Mines here against the Horsemen.
Yep, well, I guess there's only one way to find out how we are going to be seeing Mines played here by Team Coalition Zoo. And it is, in fact, by seeing them play it and seeing what tanks they pick, whether we get any Swedish tanks, maybe a Kranvagn. I do like one Kranvagn on Mines. Even though after playing it myself, you know, you can definitely feel that the gun isn't quite... it's a little bit dodgy sometimes. But, you know, look, when you get hull down, when only the front of your turret is showing, you do feel invincible. So...
Well, it's definitely got options on Mines. It can be used quite well if they want to go for that, but I suspect lots of bat chat's going to be coming out here once again. Maybe a couple of TVPs. I doubt we're going to see a T110 E3 this time, at least, from the guys on Coalition Zoo. But we'll have to see whether they start on the attacking side or the defending side. Obviously, that's going to change up the strategies just a little bit. Maybe a Grill 15 or an S-Tank on the defensive side, just to sit at the back there for you know, in that normal sort of tank destroyer position could be quite useful. But yeah, lots of could-be's and maybes.
Yep.
We'll just have to wait and see what the tanks actually are going to be here, Alex.
Yeah, I guess we will. So right now, I think that TCZ, they've got to be kind of formulating a strategy in their mind, thinking about what they're going to be picking here on Mines. Probably some bat chats, I would be feeling if they were them. You know, what worked that last game that was so close. So I think the FV215B maybe.
FV215B183. We saw B Gaming do it. I think that's grasping at straws a little bit, yeah. But it would be fun to see. Anyway, looks like we're going to be getting into the map very shortly. Mines, of course, very crucial to control that hill area that is highlighted on the screen. Always gives you quite a good sort of a sense of what's going on around the map. If you can get up there, get those scouting or the spotting in that area. But there you go. It is going to be an S-Tank. Defensive start for the Coalition Zoo.
And got to think that'll either be Roby1 or Pac Manius playing in that STRV. I would imagine. Although Roby1, he also likes his AMX 1390, so could be in that one as well. The WZ111 for Horsemen, I like that pick. Very strong tier 9 heavy tank. Great little gun on it. Big 130mm cannon. They've got 2 TVPs on their lineup as well. Those Czechoslovakian tier 10 medium auto loaders that can spew out damage like no tomorrow. Find out where they're rolling out to.
Oh, looks like Horsemen are going to take control of the middle hill. Coalition Zoo, for their own right, just setting out across the map. Bit of a default setup. They've got a couple of those bat chats over towards the 2 line, controlling the beach, but the other one's all set up around the other side and just watching out for any sort of push here from the Horsemen.
Yeah, so right now the Horsemen are going to be pushing up towards that hill, not towards the beach. And I already like this setup from them. They're gaining hill control. They haven't really been damaged moving on towards the hill. I feel like maybe TCZ could have had a little bit more kind of scouting done on the hill, even by Roby1 Kenobi, their MX 1390, so that Pac Manius could get a few early shots in, but not to be.
Archon's going for the boost here. We'll look and see. Looks like he's probably lined it up a little bit more to the left than most players, but does get up quite nicely. He's been spotted out though, and Krazib does connect a shot into him. I think Archon will be pretty happy with that if he doesn't take any more damage on this climb. Does have, looking like, yep, okay, he's safe, he's safe. So 1 shot to get up the boost. I think that's pretty worthwhile trade-off there for the Horsemen.
Yep, I would take that there, Archon in the bat chat. Can't be too disappointed. Has been spotted out though, of course, which is never amazing if you're on the boost, but still worth. Hawks there actually as well, taking a few shots. So TCZ getting the early pokes in. That's exactly what they need here on Mines. But finally some response.
Roby1 Kenobi has been spotted out. The 1390 going down to Sphinx in the bat chat. And again, Coalition Zoo relinquishing the first kill over to the Horsemen. This is not going to shape up too nicely for them now, considering that Archon has got himself up towards the top of that boost. He's Make life a little difficult for the Coalition Zoo. Just another spot to be aware of on mines.
Yep, there we go. So Archon, guys on TCs, they're going to have to be aware of him. Right now, Crazy doing a good little job in that 113 of trying to trade out with Hawks. Of course, when Hawks is in that hold down position with the 113, very, very hard to get through the turret, but Crazy will definitely be able to shoot through that frontal hull armor. 113's gun has a nice amount of penetration with those premium shells.
Archon looking like he's going to be clipping here, so not so much of a threat for the moment now for TCZ. Krazib pushing a bit forward in that 113. Have a look at what's going over towards the eastern side of the map there. There's so many tanks for Horsemen starting to set up there.
Yeah, there we go. So the Horsemen, it looks like they may be making the push up on towards the hill. We've got 4 of the bat chants. They're going to be backed up by Pac-Manius right at the back there. Crazy heading up first in the 113. I like this push from TCZ.
Yeah, Spencer's in a difficult position here. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of here. He just does get around the corner. Actually, he's alive, so he can drop off the other side if need be. I believe Nundesu is also up the top there with him, and it is going to be Nundesu going down first. Spencer not able to get out alive. That's a well-coordinated push there from the Horsemen, although Archon trying to do his best from up on that boost, getting some damage down upon, well, both of those bat chats that the Coalition Zoo have running out here. Nico Best Waifu arriving at the battle with a fully loaded clip in that TVP. He's being focused down by Coalition Zoo, but I think he might just have enough to get another shot off here. Krazib is going to get the kill. Sphinx trading out another one, and it's now back to a 3 versus 4. Again, the Coalition Zoo have the guns in the game, but what we saw last round, the Horsemen are able to come back from a deficit.
But this time, the Coalition Zoo also have the HP advantage. Last round, they were down about 1,000 HP. Here, they should be able to continue this and extend their lead, particularly if they take out Hawks now.
That's some good angling from the Coalition Zoo, 113. In fact, actually, I think we're going to see Hawks going down here. No, yes, it is. The Bat Chat able to take him down. So 2 versus 4 now. It's going to have to be another mammoth effort here from Archon and Sphinx. Archon still only with 3 shots left up on that hill. He could become a crucial player in this one. But Sphinx, again, you know, we see him down in these clutch moments. Is he going to be able to pull it off once again for the Horsemen?
Oh no, and that shot has just missed Crazy there. And Archon himself, he's not going to be able to contend with this STRV 103B. In any kind of shoot off, the STRV is always going to win. An S-Tank just so strong at range. It's what it does. It's a tank destroyer. And now Sphinx, he's getting rushed down. This is looking like it's going to be a 4-1.
Oh, Krazib, is he going to get around the corner here just in time? I think so. No, he misses the shot. That's going to allow Sphinx to get around the corner. Might be able to get a reload off here. So maybe the story is not yet over for the Horsemen. It was a nice shot from Archon to track Krazib there, but unfortunately doesn't have any shots left in the clip to actually close out the kill on the 113, which could have been so useful. But at the very least, these Bat Chats are going to be allowed to reload. And, well, some good play from Archon and Sphinx here could net them another clutch win.
Could do. Could do. It's not out of the question. Sphinx, aka Flag from last season, he's made a fair few impressive plays in his time, but he cannot afford to be shot once. And with an STRV 103B here on the field, that is going to be very, very tricky. You know, I've found the thing with the STRV is like you shoot the tracks and it can't aim at you.
It can't turn.
Yeah.
Wow, imagine that.
That's great.
That is great. Thanks for the insight, Alex.
Yeah, just in case anyone wanted to know the how to counter it. Bet the Swedes didn't think of that one.
Maybe not.
Thought of just about everything else for it, though. Very advanced tank. It was one of the first tanks to actually put a turbine engine in it. So kind of reverse and go forward and generally a better handling.
Sphinx, for now, is just trying to get a bit of a read on what the Coalition Zoo are setting up like, because he's trying to spot here for Archon, who's going to try and do the damage, but just not getting anything at the moment. It needs to be so careful with his positioning. Archon on the move now isn't going to be able to provide any cover fire. And Archon, he almost fell at the pit of death. That would have been a little bit embarrassing on stream, but he does manage to avoid it. What can he spot out from this position? If he spots that Bat Chat, that's going to be, well, 1 kill the Horsemen have secured, but for now, he's going to just climb back down the mountain safely as he can. Takes a shot from Pac-Manius in the meanwhile, so good setup from the Coalition Zoo, recognizing that eventually Archon will need to get back in this fight.
Yep. There we go. So Archon right now just playing it safe, sitting behind the building, but yeah, eventually is coming pretty soon, Jordan, as we do see, well, 2 minutes and 30 seconds approaching very, very fast, and
Sphinx is going to need to hope for another poor shot from Krazib here, because it is just a one shot for him. Maybe Sphinx can get a couple of shots off quickly, and Krazib maybe, I don't know, folds under pressure, then there's a chance for Horsemen, but this is just looking ever so more dire.
It's not looking great. So Pacmanius here, he's surely going to spot out some of those guys. So there's Sphinx. Oh, yep, that should be it. Yep. See ya.
Right into the front of Sphinx, and well, the Bat Chat is not spotted out actually, interestingly enough there.
That was funny.
But it's not an easy shot to hit there for Archon. That STRV has a very low profile, and the 2 minute timer goes off.
Through.
Archon, I think, is going to be on the reload here, so pretty much I feel like that's going to be all said and done. Coalition Zoo might be able to steal around here.
It's looking like it. So with 2 minutes left, Krazib and the other Bat Chat of TCZ, they're going to be zeroing in on Archon now that they know where he is. There's nowhere else left for him to hide. Pacmanius is covering up the other kind of A and B lines up there, so it should be a fairly simple end here, particularly now that Archon is reloading.
Yeah, not much more to add to that, Alex, because you've pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. Archon now a one shot for these Coalition Zoo players, and Krazib reloading. This is an easy shot for him, and he does connect that one. So Coalition Zoo putting one on the board. Finally.
Finally. Oh, good to see my boys putting one on the board, so my prediction might be coming true after all, with a 5-1. Although, yeah, that was definitely a hard-fought win there for TCZ. I think the STRV definitely worked out, particularly towards the latter end of that battle. You know, full HP STRV, it's so mobile. It can get into so many positions that, you know, make it so hard to hit.
Yep.
You know, obviously, super strong gun. You know, it can almost trade with like a Bat Chat that's got a full clip, just because of the amount of damage that gun puts out, and obviously how hard it is to go through that armor when it's kind of angled down and like kind of just above the ledge or whatever it's kind of hiding behind like that.
Yeah, you can always, or sometimes just only see a sliver of that tank, and that's how you want to be driving the STRV. But obviously Horsemen are going to be moving over to the defensive side now. Do we think maybe we're going to be seeing an S-tank out of the Horsemen?
Ooh, that's a hard call, actually, a very hard call. I think the Horsemen, they don't really seem like the team to pick the S-tank. I would more say so that the Horsemen are going to be going something like an arty piece here, something like that on the attacking side. Maybe a different TD, but probably not an S-tank.
Yeah, I'd say they're probably more likely to pick a Grill 15 if I had to say anything for the Horsemen there, but we'll find out shortly. They're just going to try and close this one out 5-1, I think. But before we get into our next round of this one, let's have a look at the battle stats there for that last one. Krazib doing a great job in the 113, 4.2k damage.
Yeah, 4.2k damage. Good amount of damage there by Krazib. And apart from that, down the line, we see lots of Bat Chats. Bat Chat, Bat Chat, Bat Chat, Bat Chat, Bat Chat. The S-tank there, Pacmanius. Well, he didn't actually do all that much damage, but he was a big threat when it counted towards the end of the battle, where they kind of needed to clutch it out. TCZ on the other side of the top 7. We do see Nico Best Waifu on number 8, OBOV number 9 in that WZ111, 1,000 damage. Nothing too impressive after that, as all of the rest of the members on TCZ and the Horsemen didn't quite hit the 4 digits.
No, not so great there for the Horsemen. Again, their woes on mines continue, where they just fell apart a little bit there against Coalition Zoo. So that's 0 for 3 so far this season on that map. And, well, maybe something to have a think about for Horsemen here. I'm not so sure if they should continue picking it.
They definitely shouldn't continue picking it. I'll say that right now. There is no way that the Horsemen should continue picking mines. It just does not make sense, in my opinion. And yeah, they're not great at it. So unless they can change it up here, maybe now is the last time for them to show us that they're actually decent or can play a decent game on mines. So if they could win this one out. I know that I'm kind of backing the Horsemen a little bit to win this one out because it means that my prediction will be right, of course. If TCZ wins this one, then it's going to be potentially a 5-2, which is what you were calling at the start of this match.
I said 5-3, actually.
5-3, sorry.
5-3, yeah. But much of a muchness. At the moment, it's very much clean cut in the favour of the Horsemen, regardless of the scoreline, what it ends up being. But, I mean, who knows from Coalition Zoo? We did see some good plays yesterday, so do they have enough in the tank here to come back into this one, bring it to a tiebreaker? Have a look at the scores and see what they got between each other last season. It was actually TCZ who picked up the first win between these two lineups. 5-2 in their favour in Phase 1, but then Horsemen bounced back with a 5-1 in Phase 2.
TCZ in Phase 1 of last season, they did look really, really strong. And I suppose it's almost a little bit surprising to not see them come into this season with that same sort of, I guess, energy and I don't know, and level of play that we saw from them at the starting half of last season. Because I remember early on, you know, they did beat Horsemen 5-2. They looked like a super strong team. You know, they were picking the E100s, they were winning lots of games with them. Then it just kind of petered off a little bit, and I'm not too sure, you know, what the cause of that was. Whether it's just the other teams kind of adapting to playing against E100s that TCZ often picked, or something else. But it's. I'm really hoping that TCZ can show us in this one that, you know, even my prediction would be wrong, and that they can come back, draw this one out to a tiebreaker, and still have a chance at winning.
It's going to be a tough ask for Coalition Zoo, I got to say. I just don't feel like this team that we're seeing at the moment, even though they picked up that win last round there on Mines, it doesn't feel like they're looking like a team that can pull it back to a 5-4. They don't look like a team that's going to be able to win this this sort of a setup. Horsemen, for me, I think are going to be able to pull it through here, 5-1. It just, yeah, like I said, it doesn't feel like Coalition Zoo are 100% in it.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, and for whatever reason that is, whether, you know, their shot caller not being in the game, I'm sure that definitely has a big effect. And we saw that game, that was very much more of a spread out game. There was no all-in brawls, there was no real situations where you needed like a fully dedicated shot caller or traffic controller to, you know, tell everyone what to do.
Are we going to do this again?
Of course we're going to do this again.
I don't know, Alex.
Anyways, but yeah, there wasn't any situations in that game where they really needed to do that. Yeah, they did push up on the hill, but that was only 4 bat chats, and it was very obvious who their targets were going to be when they pushed up. There was, you know, a bat chat that was right out in the middle of the open, then, you know, a very clear target after that. So I think maybe they just need to get themselves into more of those situations where they're not relying so much on having a target, a shot caller.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like as well, some of these clutch situations as well do seem a little bit shaky there for the Coalition Zoo. Need to see them really shoring up those issues that they had there on Rurenberg. They did look all right on Mines as well, but, you know, maybe if something had gone the way of Horsemen there, then we could have seen another repeat and another pick, sort of a map pick or map win in a sort of a clutch situation from the Horsemen. So, yeah, look, I still feel like Coalition Zoo are a little bit shaky, and I'm just wanting to see a little bit more consistency, I suppose.
Consistency, yeah. I think that's the word that we're looking for here with TCZ, and whether we'll see that now, and now that they can start getting consistent, now that they've won, I think they, you know, we're certainly rooting for them in that regard.
Bit of wind in their sails? Well, we'll have to find out. Let's have a look at the tank lineups here for the second half of Mines and see what's going to be rolling out.
Okay, so we have got a T49 that looks a little bit like an AMX 50B for the Horsemen right there. And TCZ have got 2 TVPs, no S-tanks, no other tank destroyers apart from the grill. Overall, pretty stock standard Mines lineups here, Jordan.
Yep, pretty much. Almost exactly what I would have expected to see coming out here from the Horsemen. The grill 15, their TD of choice. Bat chats, I mean, 113 going across there, that's not too bad. And the T49 is, of course, a scout tank that we see picked up fairly often, actually, on Mines.
Yeah, and tanks like the Bat Chat, you know, just offer so much when you think about just the amount of damage that it can put out with that auto-loader clip, the mobility that it has. And we often forget just how strong and how much of a jack of all trades the Bat Chat can be, you know, given that we see it almost every game in WGL.
I wonder if we're going to see Horsemen here go for the same setup that they did against Karen Tiger. No, they're not, because Spencer was definitely not in that position. But Hawks, he really needs to get out of this fight, or he needs to just stay safe, get his clip off before he goes down. And unfortunately, that's not happened. Archon and Nico, best waifu here, are going to really need to put some damage across. Pac-Mania's going to be coming off the reload in that TVP shortly. Hawks, at least, has got off a couple of those shells, and he's still alive. Pac-Mania's getting dropped very low. Spencer dropped very low as well in that T49, but I think that's probably poor focus fire from the Coalition Zoo, focusing on that tier 8 tank, and it's allowed Horsemen to get a few of those quick early kills in there.
3 members down.
1 of the Bat Chats and 2 of the TVPs down for the Coalition Zoo. That makes 3, as you say, Alex, and Nundesu in that Grill 15. He is now the focus fire. That's probably a good result for the Coalition Zoo. Spencer, though, going down in that T49. Roby1 Kenobi takes out Nundesu in the Grill, but OBOV in his 113 is looking quite healthy, taking down his counterpart, Pixel, in the enemy 113. And Hawks, in the end, goes down to Roby1 Kenobi. But wow, what a crazy little fight coming out there. 3 versus 4 alive at the end of it. Horsemen with the favor of HP and tanks. Joke, though, having a bit of a duel up against Archon here. I think Archon's got the better of it, though he missed a shell just then. And if Joke does come off the reload, then who knows what could happen here.
Oh, well, I think that's just one shot that hasn't quite gone through from Joke, but yeah, that will be him going down, and just like that, TCC, they're 2 shots away from death, 2 shots away from a 5-1 loss, and it's looking like Joke might be the one to close it out.
Joke is the last one alive here for the Coalition Zoo, indeed. But OBOV should be able to get this kill.
There we
go.
go.
So another win on the board for the Horsemen. 2 out of 2 so far in the WGL APAC, and 2 reasonably convincing looking wins.
Absolutely. Look, the Horsemen look very confident there. You know, they had some good strategies leading into just about every map. A little bit shaky on that first one on Mines, but again, that was very, very close as well in a lot of respects. And I think Horsemen, they've got to be happy with their start to the season. So TCZ, on the other hand, I mean, it's been rough for them. You know, they haven't had their full core roster today. You know, they've played some maps which I really don't think favour them. Ruinberg, Mines, not so much either. So hopefully for them, for their sake, next week they can, you know, get back onto the ghost towns, get a little bit of a better performance on the board on Himmelsdorf as well, because getting TCZ 2-0 on Himmelsdorf, losing 2-0, not good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Horseman lineup shapes up throughout Season 2, because they definitely are impressing me. Taking out a pretty strong target in the Karen Tiger. Obviously, Coalition Zoo, we expected to have a little bit of trouble in this matchup, but it was another good performance from Horsemen, and, well, waiting to see how they go throughout the rest of the season. I think they're definitely going to be able to contend with the likes of Efficiency and Karen Tiger, who we saw all sort of expected as that 4th seed position, but now Horsemen might be nipping at their heels a little bit this season.
He may very well be, so just have to wait and see whether Horsemen can continue that streak of, well, good play that we've just seen from them throughout the season. TCZ, of course, they've got a long way to go. I think it is safe to say, even when we did see them with their captain shot caller, Madhouse, even when we did see them with Madhouse, of course, there was some hot and cold moments.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there always is for a lot of these teams. Some of them have good weeks, some of them have bad weeks.
Exactly,
I know that's something that we sort of said about team efficiency last season as well, but Horsemen, I think, last season were very hot and cold as well. But digressing a little bit here, let's have a look at the post-battle stats. Archon up the top there in his bat chat OBOV as well. He did a lot of work in that 113, picked up quite a couple of crucial kills.
Yep, there we go. OBOV's got to be pretty happy with that 3.2 thousand damage in the 113. You've got to give a shout out to Joke and Crazy there, 2.8 and 2.7 thousand damage respectively in the bat chat and the 113. But Pixel there in his 113, only getting 1385 on the board. Overall, you can definitely see why the Horsemen managed to pick this one up. Although, in saying that, Nundesu there in the grill only managed to get 1 shot off. He was primaried very early on by TCZ. That was, you know, some pretty good focus fire you know, by them. You've got to give them that. Credit where credit's due. And those TVPs, again, TVPs that get eliminated early on in the battle, it just never works out for that team.
Yeah, so a pretty good match there for the Horsemen, ending it out 5-1 over the Coalition Zoo, which does secure them 2 wins this week. And Rounding out a very nice first week of the WGL APAC Season 2 for the Horsemen. Not so great for the Coalition Zoo, who are now 0-2 at the end of that.
0-2. Well, what can you do? They've just got to come back next week and try a little bit harder, maybe with some new strats, maybe with a little bit more practice. We'll see.
Yeah, alrighty guys, well that's going to be it from us for now for that first matchup. Just a bit of an addendum as to what's going on after this one. We are going to have a bit of an extended break. We will be back at 5 PM GMT +8, so that's in about an hour and 15 minutes if I'm not mistaken. Until then, I'll have to go and grab a bit of a bite to eat, Alex, I think, and get settled in for our next matchup, which is going to be Meltdown versus EL Gaming. So we'll see you then.